Can you truly love God and still love tarot? We're going to get into it. Hi, I'm Joe. Welcome back. This is the Ultimate Love Letter. Thank you for joining the conversation. We've got to get into it. All the questions on whether tarot has any place in a godly heart. People immediately associate tarot with something dark. I get it all the time on my YouTube. People are quick to pick out the background, asking if I have a tarot card, why do I have an image of a saint, always questioning what's in the background before they decide whether this channel is for them, whether they are to accept the messaging instead of simply listening within themselves to hear if the message resonates. But isn't that the problem with society? This is something that I've been wanting to get into it, and immediately today I just knew this was the perfect opportunity. Let's get into the origin of tarot, because the beautiful art that we see on a tarot card or on an oracle deck, it didn't begin with the name of tarot. It actually originated in Italy centuries ago. The beautiful art was commissioned by wealthy families, and the cards were simply to play a card game similar to bridge. Now, long after that, centuries later rather, it took a different turn. And people started associating it with fortune telling and something, supernatural, all because of an influencer. Yes. And now here we are adapting immediately that it's something darker when we don't even know where it began. Like, you've seen it, whether you're Christian, Catholic, Jewish, whatever your faith is, and whether you believe that tarot cards have origins in a dark meaning or a dark history, you know it. The beautiful art is just that, beautiful. Can we agree? The paintings, the beautiful illustrations, they are similar to, it's so interesting that it started in Italy, but they're similar to the beautiful the 16th chapel, the beautiful art that you find all around Italy in those majestic cathedrals. It's art on paper. And we're so quick to give it meaning because someone, somewhere, long ago, associated it with something else. And so immediately when you're drawn to the art and you know it's true, it's beautiful, we immediately block it out. We say, no, I cannot worship God and love this image at the same time. Here is the question that we need to be asking ourselves. What is the intention? Now, I have beautiful oracle decks that when I look at the designing, there are beautiful images of sunsets and beautiful homes and plants and flowers and animals. And when I turn them over on what they're saying, they're beautiful words of inspiration. But immediately, people judge. Why? It's inspirational words on a cardstock with a beautiful image, but the fact that it is titled, quote unquote, Oracle deck, people say it's not of God. But let's talk about what is from God. God says He's using everything to communicate with us, every way to draw us back to Him. So if I see a beautiful image on a quote unquote tarot deck, and the beautiful colors and the artistry makes me feel hopeful, makes me feel inspired. And I know that that inspiration is drawing me back to source, back to the divine. What is wrong with that? My intention, and maybe it's yours too, or maybe not, but I think we all need to look at the intention. My intention is simply to be uplifted, to be encouraged, not to be wallowing in despair. Yes, I speak to God. Yes, I pray, I meditate, I do yoga, I ground down in nature, I read things, I read beautiful pieces of literature that are meant to uplift me on my Instagram. I make sure I follow intentional people on my platforms because I want to be fed at every point as I'm walking through life. And looking at beautiful imagery on a card is no different. If we see a car drive past and their license plate says He's risen, do we take that as, oh, that's something demonic, or God's not using that to speak to us? Or can you simply accept the message that the divine is offering by the way He is offering it? Or do we just discount it because of the way it is being offered? And then these people that judge are so quick to be the same people that say they can't hear the divine speak. He is speaking everywhere, but yet we're shunning out the ways that He is speaking to us. What is the intention? If your intention is to hear God speak when you pull from an oracle deck, then that intention is pure. The tool is, let's look at it what it is. It is a card beautifully decorated with inspirational messages. And if you pull one with the intention of hearing God speak, and the words say, live free, can you not accept that as God, as the divine, as something that's uplifting you, or is it something dark? This is the problem with the world today. We're so quick to judge. We're so quick to put it in like containers. We label it. God can speak this way and He cannot speak that way. If God only speaks to us through the Bible. God only speaks to us in church. Really? You're limiting God. God cannot be contained. He is using everything. He is using strangers that pass you by. He is using song lyrics, and I do not just mean gospel song. God is using everything. A book that falls down and all of a sudden it opens up to a page and you read one line. The wording, the name, the brand of a camera that automatically catches your attention, the brand name of any object that catches your attention. If it hit you, if it stopped you, you can accept that as the divine. If your intention is to hear the divine. And people do this all the time also with gemstones, and this drives me crazy. Here again with society, y'all for real got me. Y'all, we got to really wake up and look at these things. If I'm rocking emeralds, sapphires, diamonds, and rubies, that is quote unquote socially acceptable, right? Like no one questions, no one bats an eye, no one questions your faith. They don't even associate it with your faith, with God. But the moment I admire a rose quartz, citrine, onyx, tiger's eye, turquoise, immediately people start saying you are worshiping something other than God. What? It's a gemstone. It is a natural element of this earth. It is a creation of God. If I want to go out and pick rocks, and I do that too, it's because I'm drawn to them, because I'm loving on them. They are natural. They are from my Father. Yes, I love them. But I don't even know where the origin of that nonsense came from, but why not say a diamond is something dark? Why does a rose quartz have to equal what I'm worshiping? Instead of judging any object that you're holding in your hand, can you use it if it inspired you for whatever reason? Maybe it's the texture of the material, maybe it's the color. Whatever it is that drew your attention, can you bring that back to the divine? And then tap in with God. What is it you're trying to speak to me here? What is it that I should be knowing here? How are you communicating? You know, I was at a festival over 4th of July weekend, and I stopped in a little artist boutique, and she had these beautiful star-shaped gemstones. I love gemstones. And I love that the fact that her gemstones were star-shaped. I feel like God has been speaking to me saying, you are a star. I've been hearing it. I see the imagery. I see it. So I was immediately drawn to the star-shaped gemstones. And as I was drawn to the collection, there were 3 stones that caught my eye. One was citrine, the beautiful bright yellow color. Another was turquoise. I don't believe any turquoise gemstones. And the third one was tiger's eye. And I realized in that moment, I don't even own a single piece of tiger's eye. But here's the thing, nothing is random. For whatever reason, I was drawn to those 3 stones at that moment. I have dozens of gemstones at home. I love them, but I'm always picking them up in the order that they're drawn to me. It's like I'm not even picking the stones. The stones are picking me. That's how I feel. And with these 3 stones were no different. All 3 gemstones came with a card, and on each card they had 3 words that were uplifting. And what the artist felt were the benefits of the stone. So of course I read the 3 stones that I pulled. Citrine, the 3 words on the card were creativity, joy, and abundance. On turquoise, on tiger's eye rather, it was courage, confidence, and leadership. On the turquoise, it was vitality, success, and good fortune. And they all 3 resonated. So I grabbed those 3. Just today, I woke up and immediately I had a question that was pressing on my heart. And I said, God, I need to know an answer here. I need to know where you're guiding me here. I want to hear it clearly. And immediately I grabbed the little silk cloth with the 3 gemstones. Now I went to grab all 3 of them out. And as I grabbed for all 3 of them and I pulled them out, I noticed as I walked away, I only had 2 in my hand and 1 was left in the bag. And here is where I paused, because I just knew God is speaking to me in this moment. The fact that 1 was left, quote unquote, in the bag, I looked at the one that was in the bag and it was turquoise, which meant vitality, success, and good fortune. The actual answers to the question I had just asked God. And God was essentially saying those 3 elements are in the bag. As in, they are already done. They are already yours. That was the answer to my question that I asked 1 minute before he responded. Now, was that God that responded? I mean, I was in prayer. I set the intention to hear God. And as I made just an organic gesture, God showed up. Now, am I to be closed off by the way God is communicating? Or am I to be opened up to all the ways that God is communicating? I don't know about you, but I'm not shutting off anyways. It's hard enough to hear God. You talk to most people and most people will say, "How do you know if you're speaking to God?" I can't hear God speak. And I always say the same thing. You have to cultivate a relationship with God. You have to cultivate quiet time. That's how you actually build a relationship with God, is you actually every day spend time in his presence, in stillness. Then that voice, because he's always speaking, will grow louder and louder. You'll recognize it more and more, and bingo. Once you have that open signal, you'll never lose it again. Now you can communicate with him almost as in flesh. I speak to God all day long. And you know what? He answers immediately. Immediately. And I'm going to get into God. God just reminded me of something else. I'm going to give you another little testimony. But he answers immediately. And I know it's God because my intention is to hear God. I'm not trying to communicate with a loved one on the other side, and not saying anything's wrong with that. I'm not trying to communicate with my passed on pets of the past. I'm not trying to communicate with anything other than my God. And as we set that intention, and God knows your heart, if it's pure or not, if this is a pure intention, then so he shows up, because this is the biggest desire of his heart, is to cultivate that friendship with us, is to be in constant communication with you. So of course he's going to show up. But if we're so closed out to the way God speaks, then we're limiting the ways he will speak. Now, this is not suggesting that you take to tarot and ask tarot to predict your future, or you take to crystals or gemstones or diamonds or rubies or whatever, and you're asking that object for guidance. No, it's all inspiration. You understand, it's all from God. And if it's inspiring you, then chances are it's from God, and you can bring all of that inspiration to God and say, God, what are you communicating here? And chances are, before you even ask the question, you already know what he's communicating. Like when I see a beautiful gemstone at a farmer's market and it's glistening in the sun, the colors of the gemstone or the size or the shapes, or I can immediately, I feel a sensation inside of me. It may be joy, and all of a sudden I see a beautiful citrine. It may be love, and bingo, there's a rose quartz. God is everywhere. And this is where we use our discernment. What are you feeling? What is the intention? And discount what the object is. What is the intention behind the object? I've heard someone say they don't practice yoga because it's calling down spirits because of the names. Look, if your intention is to call down spirits on your life, then that's your intention. Or is it not? Or is your intention is to improve your spine? Is your intention to become flexible, to heal your body, to heal on a cellular level? What is the intention? Is your intention to meditate? Because that's what yoga is. It's a moving meditation. Or is your intention to call down spirits? What is the intention? It's not so black and white. There's a whole gray area, and most of us are not living in it. We are limiting the inspiration. We're limiting the way God communicates with us. And I'll say it another way. You are being judgmental for those who are simply free enough to tap into all the ways that God is speaking. The one story I wanted to share quickly before I let you go. I was speaking to God like I always do. I was driving to pick up my son and I was just speaking to God. And I had a question. I don't even remember what the question was now at this point. And I said, literally, I said this after I asked the question. I said, God, but I know, you may answer that, in a little while, not today. I'll be patient in your responding. I'm not kidding. I looked up and I don't even know what I looked up at. And it said, about the same time as your arrival. And I said, what does that mean? And then I looked at my phone. I had GPS where my son was at, and I was following the GPS to pick him up. And I was 6 minutes away from my son. So I knew God was saying, no, you said it might take me a minute to answer. And I'm telling you, I'm about to answer you in about the same time as your quote unquote arrival. So God was essentially saying, I'm going to answer in about 6 minutes. And so I was excited because I was like, I can't wait to hear what's going to come up in 6 minutes. And sure enough, I was listening to the radio, and sure enough, something came on that answered the exact question that I had just asked God, right on time. Now, was that God? Because it was certainly my intention to hear God. I'm trying to be open. I want God to flood in and use everything and everyone to communicate with me. God is my best friend. There is nothing that I love more than God. I cherish our relationship. I cherish his protection. I cherish his presence. I will forever promote God. I will die. I am going to die for God. I can't wait to be at the feet of God. I adore him. And no, I will not limit the way that my God wants to communicate. Come through by any means necessary, God. I'll know it's you because I know your voice. And I know what it feels like to be inspired by you. Thank you so much for joining this convo. I want to thank all of our new YouTube subscribers. If you haven't found us on YouTube, please make sure you are subscribed there. And if you haven't checked us out on Threads or Instagram, please make sure that you check us out. My Instagram and also the podcast Instagram is linked in our show notes. Also, turn your attention, please, to our official Tull merch, which is linked also in the show description, and everything in that collection is coming with free shipping to the US in our World Treasure Shop collection. Last but not least, we have a new book, Fake Ass Vegan, a book on balance, that is available on Amazon. Make sure you check out the copy there and go back and review it if you have a copy. Also, this is the last thing. If you're being led to support this mission, we have a couple of links down in our show notes as well that you can use. And I am praying over every single offering. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to be of service. Until next time, love yourself and love others. Open up to the way God's speaking. Talk to you real soon. Bye for now.